Hello friends, I welcome you all to this 41st video session of Law of Evidence, and today we are going to see three important sections of Indian Evidence Act, which are section 107, section 108 and section 109. These are important from pre-point of view because many a times they have asked uh, that which section relates to burden of proof related to death or a burden of proof related to life of a person or discontinuity of relationship. So let us have a brief overview as to what all we are going to study. First, burden of proof of death, that if it is proved that a person is alive and another person is claiming that he is dead, then on whom the burden of proof lies? Then burden of proof of life is on whom and when? That is, if a person claims that a person is living and another claims that he is dead, then on whom does that burden of proof lies? And third, we will be doing is that this burden of proof has to discontinuity of any relationship on whom and when. That is, on whom and when the burden of proof relating to death, which is section 107, burden of proof relating to life or a person is alive, section 108, and thus continuity of relationship relating to section 109 is there. Now, the very at the core of these three sections is that presumption against change of status quo. There is presumption of continuity. All these three sections have this one thread running along all of it, that is presumption of continuity, that a particular thing, if it has been there, then it will continue as it is. And if there is someone claims that there is a discontinuity in it, then the person who claims this discontinuity has got the burden of proof to establish this discontinuity. Else, if a person is alive, the court will presume he is alive. The person who claims he is dead has to prove his death. If if a person is dead, then the court will presume that he is dead. And if anyone claims that no, he is not dead, he is alive, then it is on him to prove that no, he is alive. If a relationship is established, then the court will presume that that relationship is running. And if anyone claims that there is discontinuity in this relationship, then it is on him to prove it. Now, as we have seen, we have made an acronym to learn these sections. So we have already seen till section 106. So section 107, dealer is what we are doing. So this is a property dealer or any dealer. So what it says, D is for death. So section 10 says that burden of proving death of a person known to have been alive within 30 years. So if say it is 2021, so last 30 years, that is in 1991, since this period of time, suppose it is shown that in 1995 this person was alive, then for 30 years, that is 1995 plus 30, that is 19, that is 2024. So till this 30 years, it will be presumed that he is alive. So a person known to have been alive within 30 years. So when question is whether a person is alive or dead, and it is shown that he was alive within 30 years. So it is shown that he was alive within 30 years, this 30 years period. The burden of proving that he is dead is on person who affirms it. But if someone claims that no, in 2000 he has died, then it is on that person to prove that he has died as such. So the court will presume a person is alive in case he has been heard in last 30 years as such. So this is one thing. Next is section 108, which is burden of proving that a person is alive. And here the period is 7 years. So section 108 says burden of proving that a person is alive who has not been heard of for 7 years. So says this is 2017 and it is 2011. So since last 7 years, suppose a person has not been heard of by a person who would naturally have had heard of, not a person, say, if he is in India, then certainly we do not expect a person in America who is totally unrelated to him to know about it. But his relations, his natural relations. So if for last 7 years he has not been heard of, and then if say A claims that he is alive, then it is burden of proof that this person is alive is on A, provided that when question is whether a man is alive or dead, and it is proved that he has not been heard of for 7 years by those who have naturally have heard of him if he had been alive. So for last 7 years he has not been heard, and question is whether he has been alive or that he is living or he is dead, and he has not been heard for last 7 years by a person who would naturally have had heard about him. The burden of proving that he is alive is shifted to person who affirms it. So burden shifts on the person who claims that he is alive. So that is what is section 108. So both section 107 and 108 are rebuttable in nature. Now important point here is that the presumption is regarding the death, that whether a person is dead or whether a person is alive. There is no presumption regarding the time of death. There is no presumption that whether he died in 2012 or 13 or 15 or 16 or 2017. So that presumption is not there. Only presumption is the factum of his death or alive. Then is section 109, which is R, relationship, which is continuity. So, what section 109 says is that burden of proof as to relationship in cases of partners, landlords, and tenants, principal and agent. So, in case of partners in a partnership firm, or landlord and tenant, or principal and agent. So, you can remember it that in these, that is PAL, PAL, that is principal, say partners, principal and agent, and landlord and tenant. So when question is whether a person are partners, landlords and tenants, or partners, landlords and tenants, or principal and agent, and it is shown that they have been acting as such, the burden of proving that they do not stand or have ceased to stand to each other in those relationships respectively is on person who affirms it. So if it is shown that this, say, A and B, the relationship between them is that of PAL, that is either they are partners or they are principal and agent or they are landlord and tenant, then the court will presume that they continue. And if, say, C claims that no, now this relationship has come to an end, then it is on C, the burden of proof lies on C to show that that relationship has come to an end. That's all for today. We'll just revise section 107, which deals with death, that if a person has been heard of in last 30 years, and it is claimed that he is dead, then the person who claims his death has to prove. And section 108, which says alive, that if a person is not heard for last 7 years, and by those who would naturally have had heard of him, then it is presumed that he is dead, and a person who claims he is alive should prove it, or the burden of proof is on him. Then, if there is relationship of nature of principal, agent, partnership, or landlord and tenant, then once this relationship is proved, then the court will presume their continuity of relationship, and a person who claims that this relationship has come to an end will have the burden of proving it. So, as we have seen, section 101 to 109, and in next we will see section 1010 and section 1011 and 1011A. That is off of this burden of proof that Nescafe dealer is of Patna. We'll see later on. Thank you, friends.